If you want to know the process of how stuff gets in that Subto library, this is the meat and potatoes. What is it like being the Subto librarian? We've got like dozens of templates, documents, forms, all these different things that we've got. And they don't go into the Subto library that we're maintaining until I've personally reviewed them and updated them and standardized formatting. Very, very few exceptions. So if it's in there, Caleb has gone through it line by line. Dozens of documents, probably hundreds of hours. And for example, somebody asked me if I do novations. Guess what? I have to spend like probably 10 hours for me to be comfortable. I don't push a document as a template. I'll use an existing one if I'm in a rush and I have to get something done, because other people have successfully used those documents. But for it to go into the library as something I'm comfortable with, then I have to take it and take it apart to shreds, right? Line by line, go through, cross-reference, check section number references between sections, standardized numbering. Sometimes they're just paragraphs with no numbers. And I'm like, I'd rather have section numbers. So then I add section numbers. I convert it to Google Docs, convert it to the format of what are we using? Century School Book as our font, size 12, 1-inch margins, all of this standardization. Then section headers like trial period. That's bold. And then it goes into the normal font of the document. So I do that on every single document that we put into the library. So I just did this with a deed of trust. I just did it with a mortgage. Now I did it with a contract for deed. Did it exist okay before I touched it? Yes, but I didn't know it. Caleb didn't know it line by line until he tears it apart line by line. And then what happens is I see multiple copies, right? I don't want to publish one until I've seen several from different title companies, from different templates online. And then I'm like, hey, this one's really good. It's really thorough, but it's lengthy and wordy and has bad references and stuff like that, or broken links or stuff. And so then I'm like looking at another one. I'm like, ooh. So I'll be working on fixing this one, standardizing the format. And then I'll see a short one that's like, that's shortened to the point. I like that. That's easy to use, easy to read, better language, not ye old English. And then, but it doesn't have enough stuff in it. And I'm like, I need some of this stuff. I like this format. I need to combine them. So then I copy and paste everything from both into a new combined master document. If you want to know the process of how stuff gets in that Subto library, this is the meat and potatoes. I copy and paste the stuff into one master document. Then I have to go through and I set colors. I'll color code paragraphs. I'll try to copy and paste paragraphs next to each other that are overlapping, have overlapping content. So then I go through and I color code yellows, blues, reds, etc. The color is arbitrary. It's just that they need to match one another so I can see what overlaps. So then I go through and then I combine overlapping content. And then I read which one is better, or copy and paste little bits and pieces of the second one to the first one, or vice versa. And then I start deduplicating. I start removing the duplicate information so that the new paragraph 7 is actually the contents of paragraph 14 and paragraph 2 of 2 other documents now combined into a master paragraph number 7 or section 7 or whatever. Like that is the process, and it is nitty gritty, bits and pieces, things torn to pieces and put back together section and line by line, word by word. I change words like agreement to contract. I want to make sure we understand the usage of all the terms. I put standardized language in all the contracts. I try to standardize the format of the layout, like the parties versus the content of the document. We put a footer in there. Signature block needs to be the same. If it needs notary, we have to customize the notary pages. I don't know. This is probably one of the most boring videos you've ever watched, but it's also one of those tasks that is really important to having a really good library of documents. And these are living, breathing documents. As we learn lessons, they're getting updated. And those updates are getting published, and we have version numbers to show what the latest update was. So if you're in Subto, use that document, the Subto library, keep it private, but check your version numbers. When you download a copy of something, guess what? It's probably out of date like a week later, because we are doing a lot of deals and touching a lot of stuff and learning a lot of lessons. But that's what's wrapped up in being the librarian for these documents. And so it's a labor of love. It's a bit of a perfectionist thing. Well, it's not a bit. It's a lot of a perfectionist thing for me. And I'm happy and proud to share the output with you all.